How did the changeling myth impact medieval childhood? Imagine waking up and feeling unsure if the child you see is really yours or a fairy's trick. That was a real fear for families in medieval Europe. The changeling myth played a big role in how children were seen and treated during those times. People believed that fairies or other supernatural beings could snatch a healthy child and leave behind a changeling. This imposter looked like the real child but often was sickly, deformed, or behaved strangely. Since many childhood illnesses and developmental issues were not understood back then, families thought these signs meant their child had been replaced. This myth made families suspicious and sometimes scared of children who didn't seem normal. If a child was born with disabilities or fell ill often, parents might think a fairy had taken their real child. They could become worried, and that fear sometimes led to neglect or even harsh treatment. Some parents tried to make the changeling reveal itself or even harmed the child, believing it was not their real kid. Sadly, this could lead to tragic outcomes for innocent children. The myth also reflected the tough life of medieval families. Peasant families relied heavily on every child's help for farming or household chores. If a child was sick or disabled, it was seen as a burden. The changeling story helped families cope emotionally by blaming supernatural forces rather than their own hardships or failures. It was easier to think that fairies had taken their child than to accept that illness or disability was just part of life. Religious beliefs also played a part. Many families thought that unbaptized children were especially vulnerable to fairy abduction. Rituals like baptism were believed to protect children from changelings. People would perform prayers, charms, or special rituals to keep their children safe from supernatural harm. These practices created a culture of constant vigilance around infants and young children. In the end, the changeling myth shaped how people understood and responded to childhood differences. It influenced how families and communities managed illness, disability, and strange behavior. The myth intertwined with social and economic pressures, affecting how parents cared for their children and how they protected them from perceived supernatural threats.